Memphis was a city of soul and scars, its heartbeat thumping through Beale Street's neon veins, where the wail of blues guitars mingled with the sizzle of barbecue and the weight of black history. Zoe Brooks stood outside B.B. King's Blues Club, her breath catching her reflection in the club's glass door, a stranger's. She wasn't Zoe tonight. She was Vanessa. Lyle. A lie stitched into the emerald gown, hugging her curves, a mask worn to save her sister Lena from a rigged lawsuit and keep her daddy, Marvin's lungs pumping. The ward. Records Gala inside was a glittering trap, a celebration of their latest deal. But for Zoe it was a war zone, and she was armed with grit, a recording app and a fire no one could snuff. Lena, a soul singer whose voice could shake the Mississippi, was drowning in a lawsuit, accused of leaking Ward's contracts, a setup. Zoe smelled from a mile away. Vanessa Lyle Ward's marketing shark had cornered her 3 days ago, her smile sharp as a switchblade. "Play me at the gala, or your daddy's hospital bills stop," she'd said, knowing Marvin's COPD treatments were a lifeline. Zoe, a music producer scraping by in South Memphis, had no choice. She'd hacked enough to know the lawsuit was dirty, tied to a ghost employee, but Vanessa's threat was a chokehold, and Lena's freedom. Marvin's breath hung in the balance. The gown felt wrong, too tight, too loud, but Zoe straightened her braids, swaying a single hydrangea petal tucked into her hair, a relic from Marvin's backyard. She was Memphis-born, raised on her daddy's blues and her mama's defiance, a flame forged in struggle. Her mind flashed to Marvin's porch hydrangea bushes blooming blue under a scorching sun, his gravelly voice a vow. "You're a fire, Zoe. Burn it down." He'd taught her guitar at 10, his calloused fingers guiding hers over a beat-up Gibson B.B. King's Lucille, spinning on the record player, a lesson in soul and survival. She slipped her phone into her clutch hit record and stepped into the blaze. B.B. King's was a temple of sound, its walls steeped in sweat and song, the stage lit by blues lights that flickered like a heartbeat. The gala packed the club with industry wolves, producers in silk suits, artists flashing gold chains, their laughter a mask for deals and knives. Zoe moved through the crowd, her heels clicking every eye, sizing up Vanessa Lyle Ward's rising star. She felt their stares, some curious, some cold, a reminder she was a black woman in a room that didn't always welcome her light. Her clutch hummed the phone, capturing every whisper, her weapon against Vanessa's game. Vanessa appeared, her red dress screaming power, her hand on Zoe's arm, her grip a warning. "Smile." "Vanessa," she hissed, steering her toward a group of execs. "Charm them, or Marvin's done. And don't get too cozy with Cal. He's mine and I'm keeping him." Zoe's pulse spiked Vanessa's words, keeping him a match to her suspicions. She forced a grin, her voice smooth. "I'm here to work, not play," she said, her eyes darting to the bar where Cal leaned, his flannel shirt rolled up, his dark curls catching the neon glow. Tall, broad, with a jaw that could cut glass. He looked like a roadie, but his hazel eyes held a spark, sharp, restless, like he was reading the room and finding it wanting. Zoe's heart kicked a mix of warning and want, his grin from their last meet. A ward session where he'd teased her, beat mixing still burning in her mind. Vanessa Lyle, marketing genius. Vanessa announced to the execs, her eyes daring Zoe to slip. Zoe played along, her voice honeyed, but her mind churned. Cal wasn't just a sound engineer. Vanessa's claim and his cryptic vibe hinted at something deeper, maybe dangerous. She needed answers, and Beale Street's blues were calling her to fight. An exec, his suit reeking of cigar smoke, clapped her shoulder. "You're killing it, Vanessa," he said, then leaned in, his voice low. "Sing us something. Word is, you've got pipes." Zoe froze, the crowd's eyes pinning her. Vanessa's smirk, a challenge. She wasn't Vanessa, but Zoe. Brooks could sing. Marvin had made sure of that. She stepped to the stage, the band striking a slow riff. B.B. King's The Thrill Is Gone, filling the air. Her voice rose raw and smoky, each note a piece of her soul. The guitar's wail weaving through her pain, her fight. The crowd hushed, then cheered their applause. A tide, but Zoe's eyes found Cal. His gaze locked on her intense, like she'd just cracked him open. She stepped off the stage, her chest heaving, and Cal was there, a whiskey glass in hand, his cologne, cedar and smoke cutting through the club's haze. "You sing like you're breaking the damn world, Zoe," he said, his voice low, a tease that sent heat up her spine. He'd used her real name, not Vanessa's, a slip that rang alarms. "Don't play cute." "Cal," she said, her voice cool, stepping closer, testing him. "You know more than you're letting on. What's your deal?" He grinned, leaning in his breath. "Warm. Just a guy who likes a good song and better trouble," he said, his fingers brushing her wrist, a jolt sparking. "Dance with me?" "Zoe, one song." Her instincts screamed, trap, but Lena's face, Marvin's cough and the fire in Cal's eyes pushed her forward. "One dance," she said, her voice daring. "Don't make me regret it." The band shifted to a sultry blues groove, the guitar's wail curling like a lover's call, the lights dimming to indigo and gold bathing Cal's cheekbones, the curve of his lips. He led her to the dance floor, the crowd parting their whispers trailing. His hand settled on her waist, firm, possessive, his fingers grazing her lower back, sending a shiver through her. Zoe felt his heat through her gown, his body moving with hers, fluid like they danced under Memphis stars before. "You move like you own this city," he said, his voice a rumble, his lips near her ear, the guitar's twang matching her pulse. "What's got you so guarded, Zoe?" Her heart skipped her name again, a signal she couldn't read. "Call it survival." "Cal," she said, her voice husky, leaning in her fingers, digging into his shoulder, the flannel rough under her nails. "You wouldn't get it." "Try me," he said, his hand tightening, spinning her. Their bodies pressed close, the air crackling with heat. The blues lights spun neon stars scattering, and Zoe felt his heartbeat wild, mirroring hers. His lips hovered near her neck, his breath hot, and she arched into him, her braids brushing his cheek, the scent of whiskey and smoke wrapping them. The guitar screamed sharp and aching, and Zoe's guard slipped her body, humming her lips inches from his, the crowd a blur. "Careful, Zoe," he murmured, his voice rough, his hand sliding lower, teasing her hip, a spark igniting under her skin. "You're making me forget my place." She smirked, her lips brushing his ear, her voice a challenge. "Good, keep up, or I'll leave you in the dust." The song climbed, the guitar's cry piercing, and Cal pulled her tighter. Their bodies locked the club's heat. A living thing. Zoe's nails grazed his neck, his groan low, primal, the air thick with want. She could taste the whiskey on his breath, feel his pulse racing, and for a moment she forgot the lie. Forgot Lena. Forgot everything but the fire between them. Her clutch buzzed, snapping her back. She stepped away, her chest heaving, her fingers trembling as she pulled out the phone. Vanessa's left in the gown's pocket by mistake. A text glowed Zoe's perfect. "Don't let her know." Her blood ran cold. The blues lights now harsh, a spotlight on the trap. She looked at Cal, his eyes searching hers, a question forming, but his phone buzzed too. His glance at it fleeting, secretive, a shadow crossing his face. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice softer, his hand hovering near hers, the club's hum fading. "Nothing," she lied, slipping the phone back. her mind racing. Perfect. The word was a fuse lighting her suspicions. Vanessa was playing her and Cal his charm. His heat might be part of it. She turned for the exit, her heels echoing Cal's voice calling after her. But she didn't stop, the Memphis night hitting her like a slap as she reached Beale Street. The neon signs blurred the Mississippi's scent mud and hydrangea grounding her. She wasn't Vanessa, but she'd wear the mask until she could torch it. Outside. Zoe leaned against a lamppost, the river's ripples catching the city's glow. Her mind flashing to Marvin's porch, his Gibson guitar, the hydrangea bushes he'd planted for her mama. You're a fire. She opened her phone, hacking into Ward's email server, her producer's knack for tech kicking in. A file caught her eye, a contract tied to Lena's case signed by a ghost employee timestamped the night of the leak. Her flame roared the truth, a blade she'd sharpen in Memphis. She texted Jada Miles, her best friend, a DJ who'd clawed her way through Miami's hip-hop scene, breaking glass ceilings. Zoe had helped her shatter years ago. Need your tech guy. Ward's dirty. Jada's reply was instant. On it, sis. Come to Miami. Zoe's heart steadied. Jada was her ride or die, and together they'd burn this down. Across town, Caleb Ward sat in his loft, the gala's buzz still on his skin. Zoe's voice raw, shattering, echoing in his head. She wasn't Vanessa Lyle. He'd known it the moment she sang her fire, a challenge no exec could fake. Her heat, her rhythm had him hooked. But that text on Vanessa's phone gnawed at him. He wasn't just Cal, the sound engineer. He was Caleb Ward's CEO, hiding to root out leaks in his company, a secret tied to a debt he owed a music mogul, a shadow he kept from Zoe. Her spark was a risk, but one he'd take. He dialed Rhea Cole, his private investigator, his voice low. Dig into Vanessa Lyle's files. Rhea and Zoe Brooks find out who she's protecting. At a South Side dive bar, Vanessa Lyle sipped a martini, her blonde hair tucked under a cap, her smirk sharp. The lawsuit was her ticket to control Ward, to keep Caleb close. But Zoe's fire, her song, her defiance was unraveling it. She texted an unknown contact, her fingers steady. Zoe's digging. Control her, or she's done. Memphis hummed outside its blues, a warning. But Zoe Brooks was ablaze, and Vanessa had no idea how bright she'd burn. Memphis was a city that sang its pain and pride, its blues spilling from Beale Street's neon glow to the Mississippi's muddy banks, a rhythm of black resilience that refused to break. Zoe Brooks stood on those cobblestones, the night's heat clinging to her skin, her heart a tangle of fire and doubt. She was still Vanessa Lyle to the world, a lie forced upon her to save her sister Lena from a rigged lawsuit and keep her daddy Marvin's oxygen tanks humming. The gala at B.B. King's 3 nights ago had set her ablaze. Cal's hands on her waist, his hazel eyes piercing her mask, her voice breaking open. B. King's, the thrill is gone. But Vanessa Lyle's text, Zoe's perfect, don't let her know, and Cal's secretive glance at his phone had doused her in suspicion, a cold reminder she was playing a dangerous game. Zoe's hack into Ward Records servers had uncovered a ghost employee tied to Lena's lawsuit, a contract signed the night of the alleged leak screaming setup. Her phone held Vanessa's recorded threats, a weapon, but not enough to free Lena or cover Marvin's hospital bills. Cal's touch. His grin burned in her mind, but Vanessa's claim. Cal's mine and his evasive vibe hinted at a secret, maybe a debt he couldn't shake. Her mind flashed to Marvin's porch. Hydrangea bushes blooming blue, his Gibson guitar in her hands at 12, his voice rough with memory. They shut me out of studios. Zoe, 'cause I was black. But blues don't bend, you don't either. She'd strummed her first chords. Then Marvin's stories of segregation in the music scene fueling her fire. She slipped into a leather jacket, her braids loose and headed for Sun's studio where Ward Records was hosting a VIP mixer. Vanessa's orders were clear. Play. Vanessa owned the room or Marvin pays. Sun. Studio was a holy ground of rock and blues, its walls echoing. Howlin' Wolf Elvis and the black artists who'd birthed Memphis sound. Tonight, it was a battlefield for Ward's elite. Their polished shoes scuffing the historic floors, their champagne flutes clinking under neon signs that buzzed like a warning. Zoe stood in a black dress, its cut sharp a rebellion against Vanessa's glitzy gowns. Her hydrangea petal tucked into her clutch, Marvin's anchor. The crowd's eyes judged Vanessa Lyle Ward's marketing star, not Zoe Brooks, the producer who'd rather be mixing beats in a South Memphis garage. Vanessa appeared, her lipstick a slash, her voice a hiss. "Sign this," she said, thrusting a contract at Zoe, binding her to Ward's PR team. "You're our face now, Vanessa. Deliver, or Marvin's treatments end, and don't think you're safe. I've got plans to keep you in line." Zoe's throat tightened. Vanessa's plans, a red flag, a hint of something bigger, like a trap waiting to spring. She met Vanessa's gaze, her voice cool. "You don't own me," she said, signing with a steady hand, her phone recording every word, her mind racing. Working for Ward meant access files, emails the ghost employees trail, but it tightened Vanessa's leash. Zoe slipped the contract into her bag, her flame flickering, but fierce. A gray-suited exec approached his smile. Greasy. "You're the talent scout, right?" he said, handing her his empty glass. "Grab me a bourbon." "Sweetheart." Zoe froze. The room's chatter fading. His words. A gut punch. The dress. The contract. Vanessa's name. None of it shielded her from being seen as less. She set the glass down, her voice low, lethal. "I'm Vanessa Lyle Ward's marketing lead. Check your damn bias." The exec's face flushed, his apologies stammering, but the crowd's whispers cut deeper, a reminder she was a black woman in a world that often dimmed her light. Her mind flashed to Marvin, barred from studios in the 60s, his guitar, his only voice. She wouldn't bend. Not here. Not now. "Y'all want talent," she said, her voice carrying, stepping to a mic stand. She freestyled a diss track, short and sharp, her rhymes slicing through the room, calling out the exec's ignorance. Her words rooted in Memphis blues and her own fire. The crowd gasped, then clapped, some nodding, others squirming. But Zoe's eyes burned her point. Made Cal appeared, his jaw tight, his eyes blazing. "You good?" he asked, his voice low, protective, his hand hovering near her arm. Cedar and smoke cologne cutting through the studio's hum. Peachy Zoe set her tone sharp, but his presence steadied her, his flannel sleeve brushing her skin, a spark flaring. "Your VIPs got a real way with respect. They're idiots," he said, his hand grazing her elbow, a jolt running through her. "Let me fix it." She arched an eyebrow, skeptical. "How, Cal?" "Another dance." "Better," he said, a rare smile softening his edges, his eyes daring. "Follow me." The mixer thinned, the crowd drifting, but Zoe stayed Vanessa's orders, echoing, "Own the room." She followed Cal to a back room, a recording booth where Sun Studios' history hung heavy, scratched mics, faded posters, a harmonica's ghost. Cal was there tweaking a soundboard, his fingers deft, his focus pulling her in. The neon sign outside buzzed, casting a pink glow across his face, highlighting the scar above his brow, a story she wanted to know. But his phone buzzed and he glanced at it, his face tightening, a shadow passing a debt, a secret, something he wasn't sharing. "You're still here," he said, not looking up. his voice a low rumble. "Thought you'd bolt after that jerk. Takes more than a suit to scare me," Zoe said, leaning against the booth, her voice teasing but sharp. "What's with you, Cal? You're no tech grunt, and that phone's got you jumpy." He glanced up, his hazel eyes locking on hers, a spark igniting. "And you're no marketing exec." "Zoe," he said her name, a challenge, his voice cutting through the harmonica's faint echo from the main stage. "Who are you fighting for?" Her pulse skipped, but she held his gaze, her voice steady. "Someone you don't know. Question is, what's Vanessa got on you?" His eyes darkened, a shadow crossing his face. "She's a ghost? I can't shake," he said, stepping closer, his hand brushing her wrist, his fingers warm, deliberate, sending shivers up her arm. "But you're a song I can't stop hearing." The harmonica wailed, raw and aching, and Zoe felt the air shift, charged with reckless heat. She stepped into his space, her body moving before her mind caught up. "Then sing it," she said, her voice husky, pulling him into the booth's shadows, the neon light fading. The music slowed, a sultry blues riff, and Zoe pressed against him, her hands on his chest, feeling his heartbeat through his flannel, wild matching hers. Cal's hands settled on her hips, firm, possessive, his breath hot against her temple, his stubble grazing her cheek, a low growl escaping him. "You're trouble, Zoe," he murmured, his lips brushing her ear, his voice a vibration that weakened her knees. She pushed him against the soundboard, her fingers curling into his shirt, tearing a button loose, the fabric rough under her nails. Their lips crashed together, a kiss all fire and hunger, the taste of whiskey sharp, the harmonica's wail weaving through their ragged breaths. Cal's hands roamed her back, pulling her closer, his fingers digging into her hips, her body arching her nails, raking his neck, the scent of cedar and studio wood wrapping them. The neon buzzed its pink glow, painting their skin, the booth a world of heat and want. "God, Zoe," he rasped, his lips trailing to her jaw, his hands teasing the edge of her dress, the air electric with need. But Vanessa's voice, "I've got plans," flashed cold and sharp, breaking the spell. Zoe pulled back her chest, heaving, her lips tingling. "I'm not your pawn." "Cal," she said, her voice shaky but firm, "if you're tied to Vanessa, come clean." His eyes searched hers, frustration and desire warring. "I'm not with her, Zoe. I don't know your fight, but I'm not your enemy." "Then prove it," she said, stepping away, the harmonica's wail fading as she headed for the door. The Memphis night swallowing her heart, a storm of fire and doubt. Back in her South Memphis apartment, Zoe kicked off her boots, her gaze falling on a canvas she'd swiped from Ward's office during a late-night hack. Her breath caught a painting of a black woman with hydrangea blooms in her hair, her eyes fierce under neon lights. The signature faint C. Ward. Cal had painted this, a secret piece of his soul hidden in Ward's sterile world, a glimpse of the man behind the flannel. Her fingers traced the blooms. Marvin's backyard flashing blue, hydrangeas his guitar, a reminder of who she was. She sank onto the couch, the canvas in her lap, her resolve hardening. Cal wasn't what he seemed, and neither was she. She opened her laptop, diving into Ward's servers, her eyes narrowing at a new file. A payment to the ghost employee linked to Vanessa's account, time-stamped hours after Lena's alleged leak. Her flame roared, but Vanessa's plans echoed a hint of a bigger trap, maybe a scandal to bury Zoe for good. Across town, Caleb sat in his loft, the whiskey untouched. Zoe's taste, jasmine and defiance still on him. Her fire, her diss track had cracked him wide open, but her words, "Prove it," cut deep. She wasn't Vanessa, and his debt to a music mogul, a shadow from his past, kept him silent. He wasn't just Cal. He was Caleb Ward, CEO, hiding to find the leak tearing his company apart. Zoe's blaze was a risk he'd take, but not without truth. He dialed Rhea Cole, his voice firm. Focus on Vanessa's accounts. Rhea and Lena Brooks's case. She's Zoe's sister. In a midtown bar, Vanessa Lyle nursed a vodka, her nails tapping her plan, fraying Zoe's defiance. The song The Diss Track was unraveling everything she'd rigged Lena's lawsuit to control Ward, to keep Caleb close, but Zoe was a fire burning through her lies. She texted a contact, her voice cold. Zoe's digging. Start the fun trail. She'll fall. Memphis sang on its blues a warning, but Zoe Brooks was ablaze, and Vanessa was playing with fire. Miami was a city of flash and fight, its neon pulse pounding from South Beach's clubs to Little Haiti's vibrant streets, a place where black dreams clashed with raw ambition. Zoe Brooks stood on Ocean Drive, the Atlantic's salt breeze tangling her braids, the city's glow a sharp contrast to Memphis's gritty blues. She was still Vanessa Lyle to Ward Records, a lie that burned her throat, her true self. A black woman, a producer, a fighter, buried to save her sister Lena and keep her daddy. Marvin breathing. The gala at B.B. King's and the kiss at Sun Studio had ignited a reckless fire. Cal's hands, his painted woman with hydrangeas, his lips searing hers in neon shadows. But Vanessa Lyle's text, Zoe's perfect. Don't let her know. Hey. Her cryptic fun trail plan and Cal's secretive phone glance had doused Zoe in doubt, a reminder she was dancing on a razor's edge. Memphis had given her a lead, a ghost employee's payment linked to Vanessa, a setup to frame Lena for leaking Ward's contracts. Zoe's recording of Vanessa's threats and hacked server logs were her weapons, but Lena's hearing loomed, and Marvin's hospital bills were a guillotine. Cal's kiss, whiskey-soaked and fierce, had set her ablaze, but his past with Vanessa, his ex-Ward's scheming exec, and his evasive vibe hinted at a debt, a shadow he wasn't sharing. Zoe's mind flashed to Marvin's porch, his Gibson guitar, hydrangea bushes, blooming blue. They shut me out, Zoe, he'd said, his voice rough, recounting how white promoters blackballed him in the 60s. But blues is truth, you sing yours. That truth was her fire, and she'd burned through Ward's lies to save Lena. Zoe had followed an email trail to Miami, a Ward server ping from a South Beach IP. Her best friend, Jada Miles, a DJ who'd shattered glass ceilings in Miami's hip-hop scene with Zoe's help years ago, had promised tech contacts to crack Ward's files. Zoe adjusted her denim jacket, her boots scuffing the pavement, a hydrangea petal in her pocket. Marvin's anchor. Cal's text. Meet me at Wynwood. I'm done hiding was a spark she couldn't douse, but trust was a ghost, and Zoe was hunting truth. Wynwood Walls was a canvas of defiance murals bursting with black fists, jazz legends, and neon dreams, the air thick with jerk spice and hip-hop bass. The festival buzzed with Miami's soul food trucks, slinging conch fritters, kids breakdancing under string lights, a cipher spitting rhymes about freedom. Zoe wove through the crowd, her braids catching the neon glow, her eyes scanning for Jada. The bass line was a heartbeat pulling her back to Memphis nights, with Lena singing Aretha Franklin in their cramped duplex, dreaming of a studio where black kids could make music shine. Jada spotted her, her locks swinging her grin wide. Zoe Brooks, Memphis, queen in Miami, she called, pulling her into a hug, her scent, coconut and vinyl, home in a strange city, over fritters and rum punch. Zoe spilled it all. Lena's lawsuit, Vanessa's threats, Cal's painting, the kiss that burned. Jada's eyes narrowed, her DJ's instinct for rhythm catching the beat. Ward's playing dirty, she said, sliding a USB across the table. My tech guy pulled server logs. Vanessa's hiding cash trails and your boy. Cal's got shadows heard he's dodging some big player in the industry. Zoe's stomach twisted the USB heavy. Jada's words, big player echoing Cal's secretive glance. He's not my boy, she said, her voice firm, but her heart wavered. Cal's painting a melody she couldn't shake. What's your story, Jada? Why are you all in on this? Jada's grin softened her eyes, distant. You gave me my first gig, Zoe, when clubs wouldn't book a black woman DJ. I was nobody, but you saw me. Now I'm headlining and I owe you. Let's burn this down together. Zoe knotted her throat tight, the festival's bass grounding her. I want a studio. Jada, she said, her voice low, fierce. For kids like us to make music to fight, that's my truth. Then let's get you there. Jada said, her grin sly. Come with me to Little Haiti tonight. A cipher with my crew. They know Ward's dirt. Little Haiti was a pulse of black resistance, its streets alive with murals, steel drums, and the scent of griot. Jada led Zoe to a backyard cipher where rappers and poets spit bars under fairy lights, their rhymes weaving tales of struggle and pride. Zoe felt Miami's soul, its Haitian roots echoing Memphis's blues, her daddy's guitar in every beat. She joined the cipher, freestyling a beat on a borrowed MPC, her rhythm sharp drawing cheers. Her voice a vow to fight for Lena, for Marvin, for the kids who'd fill her studio. Jada grinned, whispering, That's my girl, and slipped her a name, a Ward insider who'd seen Vanessa's cash trails back at Wynwood. Cal found her, his black tea, damp from the humid night, his hazel eyes locking on her like she was the only one in the crowd. You're glowing, he said, his voice low, cutting through the bass, his hand brushing her arm, a spark flaring. That cipher. You're a damn force. Zoe had to be, she said, her voice teasing, but sharp, stepping closer, testing him. You're late, Cal, and you're still dodging. What's got you so cagey? He hesitated, his phone buzzing his glance at it, fleeting a shadow crossing his face. Some debts don't die easy, he said, his voice low, stepping closer, his fingers grazing her wrist, warm, deliberate. But I'm here for you, Zoe. Dance with me. The bass dropped a heavy beat, shaking the ground, and Cal pulled her to the dance floor, the crowd surging. Under Wynwood's murals lit by a full moon, they moved, the scent of jerk spice thick, the moonlight painting Zoe's skin silver, her braids swaying. Cal's hands gripped her hips, her dress flaring as she laughed. Raw free. Your trouble, he said, his voice rough, his fingers tightening, pulling her close. The crowd a blur. Damn right, she shot back, her hands on his chest, his heartbeat wild, the bass matching her pulse. She sang a snatch of Lauryn Hill's X Factor, her voice weaving with the beat, grounding her in Miami's soul. A warm rain broke, scattering the crowd, and Cal grabbed her hand, laughing as they ran to a boutique hotel, its Art Deco facade glowing pink. Inside the room was lit by a single candle, its flame dancing, the scent of wax and rain filling the air. Zoe's dress clung to her, wet, her skin glistening. Cal's tea outlined his muscles, his eyes raw, hungry. He handed her a hydrangea bloom plucked from a lobby vase. Its blue a mirror to Marvin's garden. For you, he said, his voice soft, his hand trembling. Zoe, he said, his voice a growl, stepping closer, his hand cupping her face, his thumb tracing her jaw, a shiver running through her. Tell me to stop. She didn't. She pulled him in her lips, crashing against his, the kiss deep, desperate, tasting of rain and need. The candle's glow flickered, casting shadows as Cal lifted her, her legs wrapping around him, her back hitting the wall, a moan escaping her as his lips trailed to her neck, nipping softly, his hands slipping under her dress, hot against her thighs. The rain pounded its rhythm, matching their breaths. The festival's bass faint, mingling with wax and wet earth. They stumbled to the bed, her dress falling away, his tee torn off their skin. Slick, moving in a dance older than Miami. The world shrank to the candle's flicker, the rain's roar, the heat of his hands, his whispered Zoe like a vow. "I don't care who you are," Cal said, his voice raw, his eyes locked on hers as they lay tangled, the candle's glow soft. "I want you, Zoe. Just you." Her heart swelled, but his phone buzzed, shattering the moment Zoe reached for it, her fingers trembling, a text from Vanessa. "She's trouble, Cal. I'm your future." Fun trails set. Her blood ran cold, the candle's flame a taunt. She sat up, grabbing her dress, her voice icy. "You're still hers," she said, her heart splintering. "What's this fun trail?" "Cal, Zoe, wait," he said, reaching for her. But she pulled away, the rain's roar drowning his words. "Vanessa's nothing. I swear it." "Then why is she texting you?" she snapped, storming out the hotel's stairs, blurring through tears. The Miami night, swallowing her. Zoe stood by the Atlantic, the moon's reflection rippling her hands, clutching the hydrangea bloom. Cal's touch burned, but Vanessa's fun trail was a blade. She opened her laptop, pulling Jada's USB, her eyes narrowing at an email, an attachment from Vanessa sent to Cal by mistake. Lena was too close. The lawsuit fixed it. Zoe's next. Her flame roared the truth, a weapon she'd wield in Los Angeles. Caleb stood under dripping palms. The festival's lights faded. Vanessa's text. A ghost. Zoe's fire, her beat at the cipher, had him hooked, but his debt to a music mogul, a loan to save Ward Records, kept him silent. He dialed Rhea Cole, his voice clipped. Find Vanessa's burner accounts. Rhea and Lena Brooks. She's Zoe's sister, at a South Beach bar. Vanessa Lyle sipped a mojito, her plan tightening Zoe's cipher. Her fire was unraveling everything. She'd framed Lena to control Ward to keep Caleb, but Zoe was ablaze. She texted a contact. "Zoe's digging. Push the fun trail, she'll burn." Miami pulsed on its rhythm, a warning. But Zoe Brooks was afire, and no one could dim her now. Los Angeles was a city of illusions, its skyline a glittering mask that hid ambition's sharp edges from Hollywood's polished studios to Leimert Park's soulful streets. Zoe Brooks stood outside a Ward Records gala, the city's lights cutting like blades, her heart a battlefield of love and betrayal. She was still Vanessa Lyle to the world, a lie worn to save her sister Lena from a rigged lawsuit and keep her daddy Marvin's lungs pumping. Miami's moonlit night. Cal's hands, their bodies tangled in candlelight. His hydrangea bloom had set her ablaze, but Vanessa Lyle's text. She's trouble. Cal, I'm your future. Fun trails set. And the email she'd found. Lena was too close. The lawsuit fixed it. Zoe's next. Had gutted her, exposing Ward's web of lies. Zoe's arsenal was heavy. A recording of Vanessa's threats, hacked server logs, tying her to a ghost employee, and the email confirming Vanessa framed Lena to bury her probe into Ward's offshore accounts. Lena's hearing was days away, and Marvin's hospital bills loomed like a storm. Cal's painting, a black woman with hydrangeas glowing under neon, had cracked her defenses, but his cryptic debts don't die, and his past with Vanessa kept trust on a tightrope. Zoe's mind flashed to Marvin's porch, his Gibson guitar, his voice raw. "They shut me out. Zoe, 'cause I was black, but you keep playing." That fight was her fire, and she'd burned through LA's shadows to save Lena. Zoe had followed the email trail towards LA headquarters, her clutch holding Jada's USB loaded with server logs linking Vanessa's cash trails to the ghost employee. She adjusted her sapphire dress. Its deep blue, a rebellion against Vanessa's glitz, a hydrangea petal tucked inside Marvin's anchor. She wasn't just fighting for Lena, she was fighting for the studio. She'd build for black kids to make music to shine. The Hollywood studio hosting Ward's gala was a shrine to power its sound stages, draped in velvet chandeliers, dripping light like molten gold. The crowd was music moguls and starlets, their diamonds flashing their laughter. Masking knives, Zoe moved through them, her heels clicking every eye, judging Vanessa Lyle Ward's marketing genius. She felt their stares, some curious, some cutting a reminder. She was a black woman in a room that didn't always welcome her light. Her phone recorded every word, her shield against Vanessa's game. Vanessa appeared, her blonde hair sleek, her smile a blade. "You're late, Vanessa," she hissed, her hand bruising Zoe's arm. "Charm the room, or Lena's case tanks and Cal's mine. Don't forget it." Zoe's pulse spiked Vanessa's mind, a match to her doubts. "I'm here," she said, pulling free, her voice icy. But Vanessa's fun trail echoed a plan to trap her, maybe a scandal to ruin her name. A woman stepped forward, Vanessa Lyle, the real one, her red gown screaming power, her smirk razor sharp. "You're playing my part." "Well, Vanessa," she said, her voice a taunt, her gaze raking Zoe. "But Cal's tied to me, always will be. And this," she touched her stomach, smirking. "His kid." Zoe's blood ran cold, her clutch tightening, the room's chatter fading. "A baby." Vanessa was bluffing. She had to be, but the doubt clawed sharp as LA's neon lie. "Better." Zoe said, her voice steady. "Or step off. Cal's done with you." Vanessa's smirk faltered, her eyes flashing, but a producer pulled her away. Zoe's heart raced, her gaze darting to Cal across the room, his black suit sharp, his hazel eyes storming. She avoided him. Miami's text fund trails set too raw. Vanessa's claim a blade. An exec in a pinstripe suit approached, his tone dripping. "You're with the talent crew, right?" he said, handing her his glass. "Refill this quick." Zoe's breath caught the room, tilting his words a slap. She set the glass down, her voice lethal. "I'm Vanessa Lyle, Ward's marketing lead. Check your damn assumptions." The exec stammered, the crowd's whispers a knife, but the blow landed harder when a Ward VP emailed later. "Your image doesn't fit our brand. Contract's off." Zoe's fire surged, her diss track at Sun's studio hadn't been enough. She slipped out to Limerick Park, where a half-finished mural, a black woman with hydrangeas eyes fierce, stood under streetlights. She set up her phone, live streaming to her followers, her voice fierce. "They want to dim us, but we shine. This mural's for every black kid told they don't belong. Who's with me?" The comments flooded. "Keep burning Zoe, her community." A shield. Marvin's blues grounding her. Caleb's penthouse was a glass fortress above Hollywood. The LA skyline cold as Zoe stormed in her sapphire dress, trailing like a comet's tail. He was there, a whiskey glass in hand, his shirt unbuttoned, his eyes dark with pain and hunger. "Zoe," he said, standing, his voice rough cedar and smoke cologne cutting through the sterile air. "Why'd you run in Miami?" She laughed, bitter, her heart pounding, the mural's hydrangeas flashing. "Run. You let Vanessa back in, Cal," she snapped, stepping closer, her voice rising. "She's texting you, claiming your kid, talking fun trails, and you're dodging. What's this debt you can't shake?" His face paled, the glass hitting the table with a clink. "She's lying about the kid." He said, his hands raised, stepping toward her. "Vanessa and I ended a year ago. She used me to climb. Bled me dry. The debt's not her. It's a loan I took to save Ward Records from a guy who doesn't let go. I kept it from you. To protect you, Zoe." Her breath caught his words, a jolt, but doubt lingered. Vanessa's fun trail a shadow. "Protect me." She shot back, her hands shaking, her eyes burning. "You broke me, Cal. How do I trust you now?" He reached for her, but she slapped his hand away. The sound sharp, the city's lights streaming through the windows, harsh fake. "Don't touch me," she said, her voice trembling, but the air crackled charged with fury and heat. He stepped closer, his breath ragged, his eyes locked on hers, hazel storms pulling her in. "Zoe, listen," he said, his voice desperate, cedar and whiskey thick. "I'm cutting the debt, exposing Vanessa. You're the one I—" She shoved him, her hands on his chest, but the push turned to a pull, her fingers tearing his shirt open, buttons scattering like stars. Their lips crashed together, a kiss born of rage and need, all teeth and fire. The taste of whiskey sharp, the city's hum fading. Caleb lifted her onto the sofa, her dress hitching up his hands, gripping her thighs, his stubble grazing her neck as he groaned raw primal, sending a shiver down her spine. Glass shattered, a wine bottle knocked to the floor, its crash mingling with their breaths, the scent of Merlot, sharp. Zoe arched into him, her legs wrapping around his waist, the sofa creaking, her skin burning under his touch, his hands sliding under her dress, her nails raking his back, leaving trails of heat. "I love you." Caleb rasped his lips on her collarbone, his voice breaking a confession, shaking her core. "But you're killing me, Zoe." "I love you too," she gasped, her voice splintering raw true. "But you're breaking my damn heart." The words spilled a wound laid bare, and she pushed him away, her chest heaving, her dress askew, her eyes wet but fierce. She stood, glass crunching under her heels, the city's lights blurring through tears. "Fix this, Cal," she said, her voice a blade. "Or we're done." She stormed out the penthouse door, slamming her heart a storm. At Limerick Park, her phone buzzed an email from Caleb's laptop. Hacked during her last visit. Lena's case was my plan. Zoe's next fund trails ready. Vanessa's words sent to a burner account. Confirmed the lawsuit was a trap, and Zoe was the next target. Maybe a scandal to ruin her name. Her flame roared the hydrangea petal. Her anchor, Marvin's Blues, a call to fight. The Limerick Park mural glowed under streetlights, its hydrangeas a testament to Zoe's dream, a studio for black kids to shine. Her live stream had gone viral, her followers vowing to fund her fight, a community stronger than Ward's lies. A text from Jada hit Vanessa, bribed Lena's lawyer. Got proof. Come to Memphis. Zoe's fire surged. She'd end this for Lena, for Marvin, for herself. Caleb stood in his penthouse, the broken glass at his feet. Zoe's scent, jasmine and defiance still in the air. Her words, "You're breaking my heart," cut deeper than his debt to the mogul, a loan he'd taken to save Ward from collapse. Vanessa had known used it to chain him, but Zoe was his truth. He opened his laptop, finding a transfer to the ghost employee, signed by Vanessa. He dialed Rhea Cole, his voice steel. "Get me Vanessa's burner accounts." Rhea and Lena Brooks. She's Zoe's sister. At a downtown LA bar. Vanessa Lyles sipped a martini, her hands steady, her plan fraying Zoe's live stream. Her fire was unraveling everything she'd framed Lena to control Ward, to keep Caleb, but Zoe was ablaze. She texted a contact. "Zoe's next fund trail goes live soon." LA's lights burned on, but Zoe Brooks was afire and no one could dim her now. Memphis was a city woven from struggle and song, its blues flowing like the Mississippi, its streets pulsing with black resilience that no lie could break. Zoe Brooks stood on Beale Street, the dawn's first light brushing her skin. The neon signs faded, but still humming a reminder of the fire she'd sparked here weeks ago. She was no longer Vanessa Lyle, the lie crumbling with every truth she'd clawed from Ward Records' shadows, but the fight to save her sister Lena and keep her daddy Marvin alive had left scars. Los Angeles had shattered her Vanessa's claim of Caleb's baby, the email. Lena's case was my plan. Zoe's next fund trail's ready. And Caleb's confession, "I love you, Zoe." On his penthouse sofa, raw and reckless, had torn her heart open. Zoe's arsenal was fierce. A recording of Vanessa's threats, hacked server logs, tying her to a ghost employee, and an email confirming Vanessa framed Lena to bury her probe into Ward's offshore accounts. Lena's hearing was tomorrow, and Marvin's hospital bills hung like a noose. But Zoe's flame burned brighter with every clue. Caleb's painting, a black woman with hydrangeas, had hinted at a man worth trusting, but his debt to a music mogul, a shadow he'd hidden to protect her, kept her wary. Her mind flashed to Marvin's porch, his Gibson guitar, his voice raw. "They shut me out, Zoe, 'cause I was black. But you keep playing." That fight was her fire, and she'd burn through Vanessa's lies to save Lena. Zoe had returned to Memphis with Jada's proof. Vanessa bribed Lena's lawyer, rigging the lawsuit. Lena's USB sent before the hearing held a video of Vanessa confessing, "My orders, my execution." A fatal slip, but Vanessa's fun trail loomed a plan to trap Zoe. Maybe a scandal to ruin her name. Caleb's text. "I'm in Memphis. Let me fix this," was a spark she couldn't ignore, but trust was a melody she hadn't mastered. His debt, a shadow between them. She adjusted her denim jacket, a hydrangea petal in her pocket, and headed for Soulsville, where a mural half-finished, a black woman with hydrangeas, stood as a beacon for her dream, a music studio for black kids to create to shine. Zoe's South Memphis home was a haven of memory, its porch creaking the hydrangea bushes out back, vibrant blue blooms swaying in the dawn breeze. Marvin Brooks sat in his recliner, his oxygen tank humming, his eyes sharp, despite the cough that rattled him. A blues legend who jammed with B.B. King, Marvin had raised Zoe on grit and guitar, his spirit, her anchor. "You're carrying a war, baby girl," he said, his voice gravelly, pulling her into a hug, his scent tobacco and cedar, home itself. "I am, Daddy," Zoe said, her voice cracking, sinking onto the couch. She spilled it all: the lawsuit, Vanessa's fun trail, Caleb's debt, the sofa in L.A. where love and pain collided. Marvin listened, his hands steady, then cupped her face, his eyes blazing. "You're a blues note, Zoe," he said, his voice fierce, rough, raw, beautiful. "They shut me out of studios for being black, but I played on Lena's fighting, and you're still burning. Don't let them dim you. Not even that boy." Zoe's eyes stung the hydrangeas outside, a mirror to her soul. "Caleb says he loves me," she said, her voice soft. "But his debt, his past, I don't know if he's mine." Marvin's smile was knowing, his hand squeezing hers. "Love's a riff, baby. If he's real, he'll play through the pain. If not, you're enough." Zoe nodded, her resolve hardening, Jada's USB heavy in her pocket. She headed to Soulsville, where Jada Miles met her. Her locks tied back, her grin sly. "Got your back, sis," Jada said, her voice warm, her DJ's fire forged, when Zoe booked her first gig against sexist clubs matching Zoe's. They set up a workshop for local kids, Zoe teaching them to mix beats on donated gear, her dream studio taking shape. A boy, Jamal, rapped about escaping the streets, his voice raw, and Zoe saw her purpose: saving kids like him, like she and Lena once were. "Vanessa's slipping," Jada said, handing Zoe a laptop. "Hacked her burner account, found a payment to a Gia, who tampered Lena's monitors. Rhea Cole stopped it, but Vanessa's desperate. Let's bait her." Zoe's pulse raced, the laptop a grenade. She opened her DAW, crafting a diss track, its bass-heavy lyrics taunting Vanessa's lies, designed to leak online and draw her out. "This'll hit her ego," Zoe said, her grin sharp, uploading the track to a fake SoundCloud tagged with Vanessa's burner email. "Let's see her squirm." The track spread, comments flooding. "Who's this?" "Vanessa." Spill the tea, and Zoe's phone buzzed with an email from Vanessa's burner. "You're done. Zoe, Fun Trails Live, but Jada's hack traced it a video file. Vanessa in a dark office. Lena was too close to our accounts. The lawsuit was my fix. Zoe's next. The video sent to Caleb by mistake was a sword, and Zoe sent it to Lena's lawyer, her flame roaring. At Baptist Memorial Hospital, Lena sat in a chair, her face pale, but her eyes fierce, a mirror to Zoe's. "You look like hell, sis," Lena said, her grin breaking through her soul singer's voice, steady despite the monitors. "Says the one who scared me to death," Zoe said, hugging her tears spilling. "What happened, Lena? Before the lawsuit?" Lena gripped her hand. "I found Ward's offshore accounts," she said. "Bribes. Cash trails. Vanessa threatened me, said I'd pay, but Caleb. He gave me server access, didn't know Vanessa's plan. He's clean. Zoe." Zoe's breath caught Lena's words, a jolt. Caleb had risked his company for Lena, unaware of the trap, his debt, a separate shadow. "Why didn't he tell me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "He didn't know. We're sisters," Lena said, her eyes soft. "He's fighting Zoe. Trust him." Zoe nodded the video, and Lena's truth heavy, her flame burning brighter. She left the hospital. The Memphis dawn, breaking its light, a promise. At Beale Street, a small studio glowed its walls lined with posters. B.B. King, Muddy Waters. Caleb was there, his flannel open. His curls mussed his hazel eyes. Raw. "Zoe," he said, stepping closer, his voice rough. "I faced Vanessa, cut her off, told the board. I'm out. My debt's with a mogul. Not her. I borrowed to save. Ward kept it quiet, to keep you safe. I'm here for you." Her heart twisted his words, a bomb and a blade. "You broke me, Cal," she said, her eyes locked on his, her voice trembling, the studio's hum grounding her Vanessa's video. "Your debt. How do I trust you?" He pulled out his phone, showing a recorded call, Vanessa admitting the lawsuit, her voice cold. "I paid the mogul off," he said, his voice fervent. "Sold my shares. I'm free. Zoe, and I'm yours." The air crackled, charged with want. Zoe stepped into a booth, her hands pulling him in the studio's lights. Dim, a guitar riff playing soft. Their lips crashed together. A kiss, fierce, urgent tasting of salt and fire. Caleb's hands gripped her hips, lifting her onto a mixer, her jacket falling, his fingers slipping under her shirt, hot against her skin. The guitar wailed, their breaths ragged, her nails digging into his shoulders, the scent of paint and river mud thick. "I need you," Zoe gasped, her body arching, his lips trailing her neck, a growl escaping him as they moved fast, reckless. The booth, a world of heat and truth. A call from Lena buzzed, snapping them apart, her voice urgent. "Vanessa's at the hearing. She's got a fake email, says you stole funds." Zoe's flame surged, her dress askew. Caleb's hand steady on hers. "Find me in Detroit," she said, pulling away the dawn's light, a vow she'd keep. The Soulsville workshop hummed, kids mixing beats, Jamal's rap echoing. A text from the hospital chilled Zoe. Lena's monitors tampered. Rhea caught the Y-Ta. Gaia. Vanessa's last play, stopped by Caleb's PI, fueled Zoe's fire. She'd end this in Detroit. Caleb sat in his loft, the call with Vanessa burning in his mind, her smug face crumbling as he cut ties. Zoe's fire, her diss track was his rhythm, but her words, "You broke me," were a scar. He sketched her under Memphis dawn hydrangeas in her braids, vowing to fight for her. At a midtown motel, Vanessa Lyle paced her hands, shaking her plan in ashes. Zoe's diss track, Lena's survival, had broken her. She'd rigged the lawsuit to control Caleb, to bury Ward's secrets, but Zoe was ablaze. She sent a fake email to the press. Zoe Brooks stole studio funds. A knock froze her Rhea Cole badge out. Cops closing in. Memphis's dawn rose its light a vow, and Zoe Brooks was a fire ready to claim Detroit's truth. Detroit was a city of steel and soul, its streets echoing Motown's golden chords, the grind of industry, and a black legacy that burned through every crack in the pavement. Hart Plaza's music festival pulsed with life, its stages alive with gospel choirs, hip-hop crews, and the ghosts of Marvin Gaye and Aretha Franklin. Zoe Brooks stood at the center. Her mural unveiled a black woman with hydrangea blooms woven into her braids, her eyes blazing under a dawn sky, a testament to resilience. The crowd roared their cheers, a symphony of pride. But Zoe's heart was a furnace forged by the fight for her sister Lena, her daddy, Marvin, and the man whose fire matched her own. She was no longer Vanessa Lyle. The lie burned away, but the journey, Memphis's blues, Miami's rain, LA's betrayal, had shaped her into a flame no one could dim. Memphis had delivered the truth, a video of Vanessa Lyle confessing Lena's lawsuit. My orders, my execution, sent to Caleb by mistake, and Lena's revelation that Caleb had helped her expose Ward's dirty deals, unaware of Vanessa's trap. Zoe had sent the video to Lena's lawyer and the police, her hand steady the hydrangea petal from Marvin's garden. A quiet strength, Vanessa's email, Zoe's next fund trails ready, and the tampered hospital monitors had revealed her desperation, a plan to frame Zoe for stealing funds. Tonight, Zoe would light up Detroit, not just for herself, but for every black kid whose music deserved a stage, her dream studio, a beacon of hope. The festival was a celebration of Motown's legacy food trucks slinging ribs and peach cobbler, a gospel choir channeling Mahalia Jackson, kids drumming on buckets in a cipher. Zoe wore a white jumpsuit, her braids crowned with a hydrangea, a gift from Marvin, who stood with Lena, both beaming, their health restored. Lena, cleared of the lawsuit, gripped Zoe's hand, her soul singer's eyes fierce. "You built this, sis," she said, her voice steady. "This mural, this festival, it's our song." Zoe's throat tightened, her smile wide. "It's us, Lena. Always." A stage rose at the festival's heart, and Zoe stepped up the crowd, hushing their faces a sea of hope. "This mural's for us," she said, her voice soaring over the choir's hum. "For every kid in Detroit. Memphis everywhere told their music don't matter. The Brooks Music Studios open a home for black youth to create, to shine. Who's with me?" The crowd erupted their applause, a tide, but a murmur spread, phones buzzing with a breaking story. Zoe Brooks accused of stealing studio funds. Vanessa's final play, a fake email to the press, hit like a grenade. Zoe's heart raced, but Jada Miles, her DJ sister, stepped up, her locks swinging, her grin sly. "Got you." "Zoe," she said, plugging a laptop into the stage's screen. "Let's burn this lie down." The video played Vanessa's cold voice. Lena was too close. "The lawsuit was my fix. Zoe's next." The crowd gasped, their anger a wave, but Zoe raised a hand, her voice steady. "They tried to dim us," she said, "but we're fire. This studio's funded by truth, by us for us." The crowd roared. The scandal flipped. Vanessa's name buried in their cheers. Zoe's flame surged, her community a shield. Marvin's blues grounding her. Marvin Brooks took the stage, his Gibson guitar gleaming his oxygen tank off for the night. He strummed a slow riff. "B, B," King's Lucille reborn his voice gravelly. "This is for my Zoe, for every kid they tried to shut out. Blues don't bend. Neither do we." The crowd swayed his chords, weaving through their hearts, a testament to the fight he'd passed to Zoe, a boy. Jamal stepped up, the rapper from Soulsville's workshop. his voice raw, spitting bars about escaping the streets. Zoe's studio, his lifeline. "Miss, Zoe saved me," he said, his eyes shining, the crowd cheering her dream alive in his words. Zoe's eyes stung her purpose clear. Saving kids like Jamal, like she and Lena once were. Caleb stood at the festival's edge, his tea paint splattered his hazel eyes locked on Zoe, raw open. Lena nudged her, her grin sly. "He's been here all day." Zoe funded the stage. "No ward money. Go get your man." Zoe approached her, pulse racing, the festival's lights blurring. Caleb held a canvas, its edges worn, his hands trembling. "For you," he said, revealing a black woman under a Detroit sunrise, hydrangeas in her hair glowing. "I painted this after Memphis," he said, his eyes never leaving hers. "I sold my shares, paid off the mogul. Ward's done. I'm here for you, Zoe, for this." Her throat tightened the canvas, her soul. "You hurt me." "Cal," she said, her voice soft, the gospel fading. "Your debt, Vanessa." "I almost lost myself, I know," he said, stepping closer, his voice raw, cedar and smoke cologne thick. "I gave everything to the truth. My company, my past. I'm asking to stand with you, Zoe." She looked at him, the choir's harmony, weaving through the crowd's laughter, a hum. His eyes were honest, her flame burning for him. "Show me," she said, a promise. The Brooks Music Studio was a sanctuary of sound after the festival, its walls lined with murals, the air thick with paint and possibility. Zoe and Caleb stood in a recording booth, the mural glowing under soft lights, its hydrangeas watching. Zoe set the canvas down, her fingers brushing Caleb's, a spark flaring, the scent of paint and soul music lingering. "You painted me," she said, her voice soft, her eyes searching his, the mural's light casting shadows. "Why, you're my dawn," he said, his voice low, his hand cupping her face, his thumb tracing her jaw, a shiver running through her. "Your fire, your truth." "It's my song, Zoe." Her breath hitched her body, leaning into his, the mural's light painting their skin in gold and blue. She pulled him in their lips, meeting a kiss, slow, deep tasting of soul and redemption. The piano from the club below wove through a Motown riff, echoing Smokey Robinson, their breaths, a pulse. Caleb's hands slid to her waist, pulling her close, his fingers slipping under her jumpsuit, grazing her hips, a low groan as she arched into him, her nails digging into his shoulders, the scent of cedar and paint, thick. They sank to the floor, her jumpsuit falling. His tea discarded their skin, glowing, moving in a rhythm older than Detroit. "You're my home, Cal," Zoe whispered, her hands framing his face, his eyes raw, true. "I love you," he said, his voice a prayer, holding her like she was everything. The mural's hydrangeas a testament to their blaze. The music, a vow. Weeks later, Zoe stood at the Motown Museum, its walls echoing, the Supremes, Marvin's stories of their grit filling her heart. The Brooks Music Studio thrived, kids rapping, drumming, dreaming, Jamal's verses, topping local charts. Caleb was there teaching kids to mix beats, his piano filling the nights. His LA penthouse sold his life. Now Detroit's Lena and Marvin joined festivals, their health strong, their voices a chorus. Vanessa faced trial, her confession played at the festival, her fake email debunked her empire dust. Her last letter, U1, was tossed unopened. Zoe's flame too bright for her shadows. The cops had caught her at the motel. Rhea Cole's evidence sealing her fate. On the studio's rooftop, Zoe and Caleb stood the Detroit skyline soft in dawn's light, their hands entwined a hydrangea in Zoe's braids. "We built this," she said, her eyes on the horizon, kids' laughter rising a new beat. "Born with you," Caleb set his arm around her, his eyes glowing. "Always." Zoe smiled, her flame eternal. Not just for her, but for Detroit, for every kid mixing their song. Love wasn't a cage, it was a fire, and they'd burn through the lies to find it. Thank you for burning with Zoe and Cal. If their love and legacy sparked you, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell to catch every beat. Drop a comment. What dream would you fight for? Share this video with someone needing a fire and join us for the next story of soul and passion, where love rises from the ashes.